Alright, welcome back to more Ignorance in Basketball. Now, I just got another email from YouTube and they wanted me to tell you guys that if you like the video and subscribe to the channel, you'll automatically be able to dunk. So, if you ever wanted to be able to dunk, I think this is your best bet. So you might as well give it a shot and see what happens. But let's get into the video because, as usual, this is going to be a tough sell. So, Deandre Ayton has been really overlooked because of Luka and Trey, the fact that a lot of people don't think he should have been first pick. And, Luka Doncic is Luka Doncic, but I don't think that should take away from what Deandre Ayton has been accomplishing and what I think he'll be able to accomplish later in his career. So I really do think he has the potential to be the best center in the league next year. So let me explain how I'm going to convince you. So as I see it, Jokic is the best player in the league. The best center in the league right now, right? I don't think a lot of people would argue with that. I'm not saying he's the best big man. I think, AD is better than him and, a couple others. But if we're talking about just strictly centers, I think Jokic is the best. And I'm not saying that Deandre Ayton's going to average 8 assists next year, or if he's going to be shooting a bunch of threes and shit. But what I am saying is I think DeAndre Ayton he'll be able to help his team more than Jokic will, if that makes sense. He'll be more of a positive or more of an impactful player to his team and help his team win than Jokic will. So let me explain. So I think we all saw last year in the playoffs, especially against the Lakers, that Jokic was a defensive liability. He had to be taken out of the game multiple times because he just couldn't guard AD. He kept getting into foul trouble because his defensive principles and his body or his athleticism were just lacking, and he just couldn't really keep up with it with Anthony Davis, in multiple games. And Ayton actually got a lot of shit for his defense early on, but I've been paying attention, and he's actually really gotten better in that area, especially lately. So he's not going to be the guy that gets 10 blocks a game, but his defense is very disciplined. So he's not necessarily going for the blocks, but what he is doing is he's just making it tougher on his opponent and still being disciplined. So it's much less likely that he's going to fall out of the game than Jokic, even if you're giving it to somebody who's really active in the post. Because, like I said, DeAndre Ayton, he's just disciplined. He has good footwork. He just goes straight up. He put his arms up, and he's able to stay out of foul trouble. Another thing, DeAndre Ayton, compared to Jokic, is a lot slimmer. He's a lot quicker, and he's a lot more athletic. So he's actually able to, similar to like what AD was actually doing against the Nuggets in the playoffs, he's able to leak out a lot of the times and get just easy transition buckets. That's not really something Jokic can do because he walks like a fucking prehistoric dinosaur, and every time I see him moving, he looks like his feet hurt. Great player, but everybody can agree, I literally feel like when he's dribbling the ball up the court, his fucking ankles are going to snap in half because he walks like a geriatric old man. Another thing, Ayton doesn't need the ball in his hands for long to be effective. So what do I mean by this? A lot of his scoring is from fadeaways, mid-range jumpers, putbacks, lobs, and like I said, running out in transition. There aren't necessarily going to be, they're not calling every single play for him like they are with Jokic. Jokic is a lot more of he's more of a centerpiece, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's the most effective piece. In my opinion, I think the perfect center, especially for a team like the Suns, is somebody who can just score quickly and efficiently. I don't want to see somebody backing down somebody for fucking 15 seconds to try to get a baby hook they may or may not make. Even though Jokic is really good at that, I don't think that's the most effective way of scoring in the NBA now, especially if you're going to be a defensive liability. Another thing is shooting. So I always just assumed Jokic was like a 40% three-point shooter because I see him make so many big shots, and I see him shooting threes all the time, I just assumed a player that good, that's shooting threes that often, must be really efficient. But when I looked it up, this year and last year, he was only shooting like 31% from three, which is Russell Westbrook bad, and he gets shit for that constantly. And that's at 4 attempts a game, which is a decent amount. And Ayton, he only shot 23% or 21% or something like that, but he only took a third of an attempt a game. And he's not even really shooting threes, which I say God bless, because he's surrounded by some of the best three-point shooters in the NBA. So like I'm saying, he doesn't have to do everything. He just needs to do what his team needs him to do, if that makes sense. And I think he's going to do a better job of that than Jokic is, because a lot of the things that the Nuggets need from a center, Jokic can't do. He's not a great interior defender. And even as far as blocks goes, he's only averaging a half a block a game. Even Deandre Ayton, who didn't even have a great year last year. I mean, he had 2 ankle injuries, and he was suspended for 25 games, and there was a fucking pandemic. He even averaged a block and a half, so a whole more block than him, and he's already better defensively. So, and as far as field goal percentage, Deandre Ayton shot 55% from the field, and Jokic only shot 53%, so he's better than him at that too. And obviously, Chris Paul's coming to the Suns next year. And anybody who knows anything about Chris Paul knows that he brings the best out of centers every single time. I mean, I could talk about the DeAndre Jordans and the Steven Adams and the David West and all those people. But I think to really bring this home, I got to show you Cole Aldridge. So if any of you guys were as big of a fucking Clipper fan as me, you know DeAndre Jordan was injured for a couple games during the regular season, and Cole Aldridge starts. For the record, if any of you don't know who Cole Aldridge is, I don't blame you, because he's not even in the fucking NBA anymore. Just to give you guys a reference, but this guy averaged, for the 2 games he actually played, he averaged 19 points and 10 rebounds. And he shot 71% from the field in one game and 50% in the next. And this guy can't jump over a fucking pen. You know what I mean? Like, he's not super athletic. Chris Paul just knew where to get him the ball. He had a little bit of a post game. He had like this really fucking ugly jump hook. But I was rooting for him, dude. I love to watch Cole Aldridge play. He was just somebody you rooted for, you know what I mean? So just imagine what he's going to be able to do with DeAndre Ayton. If he can do that to somebody who was basically a fringe NBA player. Now, I know this isn't the sexiest like stat or whatever in the world, but lastly, I would say it's Ayton's attitude. Now, this is no knock on Jokic. I'm not saying Jokic has a bad attitude or anything like that, but I was just watching the Suns like pre-season interviews that they do with all the players. And what I got from watching Ayton's was he's extremely excited to learn from Chris Paul. He's basically just ready to give him the fucking team. He's humble, and he's really just put his ego aside, and he has the mentality of like, you're the vet, I'm here to learn from you, I'm here to do what I can to help this team win. And basically, it's your and Devin's team, and I'm just here to fucking help and do the best I can. Which, for somebody who was the number 1 pick and basically averaged like better than 20 and 10 last year, like he could easily be a prick and be like, fuck this old fucking 45-year-old point guard who's 6 feet tall, never won a championship, fuck him, I don't care what he has to say, I'm me, I'm gonna do what I want. He could easily have that attitude, and obviously I don't think that would bode well for the team, but I'm really happy he really has he seems like he's smart, he has a good head on his fucking shoulders. And I would compare this to like a Towns and Jimmy Butler a couple years ago on the Timberwolves. Now, obviously, I don't know these people. I'm not one of these people that thinks they're fucking friends with NBA players. Like, I don't know, but I think we can all agree that Butler and Towns did not like each other at all. It seemed like Towns had the attitude of like, fuck this guy, I don't know him, I don't really give a shit what he has to say. Now, I don't know if Jimmy Butler was out there just being an asshole. From what I've seen of him and Chris Paul kind of have similar tendencies. Again, I'm kind of just speculating here, but they've been known to turn people off, is what I'm trying to say. But if you have the attitude of I'm just here to learn from you, you know, that's not really something you have to worry about. And I think that's what's best for the team. Like, that's a really impressive thing to hear from somebody, especially who's accomplished so much. I mean, it's so easy. There's like fucking people who don't even play in the games who have huge fucking egos. I remember one time, I'll just say it, I ran into what's that fucker's name? Shamit on the Clippers. And I saw him at a grocery store. I just tried to give him, like, you know, simple head nod. I wasn't asking for a fucking autograph. I was just like, hey, what's up? I didn't even say anything. And this fucking scarecrow-looking motherfucker, he just straight dissed me. He just looked at me and looked away. And I was like, all right. Now, my entire life, my goal in life is to become more famous than you just so I can disrespect you in public because I'm fucking petty. But this is what I'm saying, you know, like, I think we could all agree that Ayton has a lot more clout, I fucking hate that word, than a fucking Scarecrow Man, you know what I mean? But Scarecrow Man has the ego, that's why Scarecrow Man got traded, no offense, and Ayton is about to win a championship, so I just want to give a shout out to Deandre Ayton. I hope you have a great year, I hope you win a ring, because that would make me happy. And I think that's it for today. I do make videos every day. Consider subscribing. Consider liking the video if you want to be able to dunk. That's what YouTube is saying, okay? If you like the video and you can't dunk, you got to hit up Susan because that's not on me. I'm just reading the emails. You know, I'm just relaying the message. But that's all I got for today. Thank you guys if you made it to the end. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.